Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow the next interesting stories. And if you have any feelings about the story, leave your opinion in the comment section. We look forward to hearing from you. Now, let's listen to this dramatic and touching story. What if your entire career crumbled in a single moment, only for you to rise with a secret that could topple empires? My name is Avery Thompson, a 32-year-old project manager at Horizon Dynamics, a tech company in Seattle that prided itself on innovation but thrived on cutthroat politics. I'd spent 5 years climbing the ranks, pouring my soul into every project, often working late into the night to meet impossible deadlines. My team respected me, my work was flawless, and I was on track for a promotion to senior director, a role I'd dreamed of since I started. But that dream shattered on a rainy Tuesday morning, all because of a single, unforgivable mistake. It started with a car accident on the freeway, a fender bender that delayed me by 20 minutes. I called my manager, Karen Ellis, to explain, my voice trembling as I stood on the shoulder, rain soaking through my coat. "I'll be there soon," I pleaded, but her tone was ice cold. "We have a board presentation, Avery. You knew how important this was. Don't bother rushing. We'll manage without you." My stomach dropped. The presentation was for a $10 million AI project I'd spearheaded, a make-or-break moment for my career. I arrived at the office, drenched and breathless, only to find the boardroom doors locked. Karen's voice echoing through the walls as she presented my slides, my work as her own. The fallout was swift and brutal. Karen called me into her office after the meeting, her lips curled in a sneer. "You let the team down, Avery," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "Being late isn't just unprofessional, it's a liability. I'm demoting you to junior associate, effective immediately." My heart pounded, a mix of shock and rage coursing through me. "Demoted?" I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. "Karen, I've given everything to this company. That project was mine. You can't do this." She leaned back, her eyes glinting with malice. "I can and I will. Pack your things and move to the cubicle downstairs by noon. And don't expect a bonus this year." I stood there, frozen, as the weight of her words sank in. A junior associate, entry-level, a role I'd outgrown years ago. My salary would be slashed, my team reassigned, my reputation ruined. My hands trembled as I gathered my belongings, the office buzzing with whispers. My colleagues avoided my gaze, their pity palpable. Inside, I was a storm of emotions. Humiliation burned in my chest, betrayal twisted my gut, and a quiet, seething anger simmered beneath it all. Karen had always been threatened by me, her passive-aggressive jabs a constant undercurrent. But this was war. As I carried my box to the cubicle downstairs, a memory flickered, a secret I'd buried deep, one that could turn the tables. I owned a significant portion of Horizon Dynamics stock, a legacy from my late father, who'd been an early investor. Karen didn't know, and neither did the board. That secret was my lifeline. But I wasn't ready to play it, not yet. The rest of the day was a blur of shame and self-doubt. Sitting in the cramped cubicle, I stared at my computer screen. The junior associate handbook mocking me. My mind raced with questions. How had I fallen so far? Could I claw my way back? The demotion wasn't just a career setback, it was personal. Karen had humiliated me in front of the entire company, stripping away years of hard work with a single decision. I thought of my father, who'd believed in me, who'd left me those shares as a safety net. Use them wisely, he'd said before he passed. I'd never touched them, fearing the power they held, but now, that fear was giving way to resolve. I wasn't just a demoted employee, I was a shareholder with influence, and Karen's reign of terror was about to meet its match. But the road ahead was treacherous. Karen had allies on the board, and I knew she'd fight dirty to protect her position. My demotion came with a 90-day probation period. If I slipped up, I'd be fired. My shares worthless in a termination clause. The clock was ticking, and the pressure was suffocating. That night, I sat in my apartment, a glass of wine untouched, my mind a battlefield. Part of me wanted to storm into the boardroom, reveal my shares, and demand justice. But another part, a colder, more calculated part, knew I needed a plan. Karen thought she'd broken me, but she'd only awakened a side of me I'd buried. A fighter, ready to reclaim what was mine. The game had just begun. The days following my demotion were a descent into a quiet hell, each moment a test of my resilience. Sitting in my new cubicle at Horizon Dynamics, I felt the weight of every glance, every whisper. My former team, people I'd mentored, laughed with, led, now reported to Karen. Their awkward smiles a reminder of my fall. Inside, I was a tangled mess of emotions. Humiliation gnawed at my pride. Self-doubt whispered I'd never recover, and a burning anger fueled my every step. Karen had stripped me of my title, my dignity, but she couldn't touch the secret I held close. The 15% stake in Horizon Dynamics I'd inherited from my father. It was a silent power, one I'd kept hidden from everyone, even my closest colleagues. But as I sat there, staring at the junior associate handbook, I knew it was time to wield it. The realization brought a flicker of hope, but it was laced with fear. Owning stock gave me leverage, but using it was a gamble. If I revealed my shares too soon, Karen might rally the board against me, spinning a narrative of disloyalty. If I waited too long, the 90-day probation period would end, and a single misstep could lead to my termination, rendering my shares useless under the company's bylaws. My mind churned with scenarios, each more daunting than the last. I imagined Karen's smug face if I failed, her laughter echoing as I was escorted out. But then I thought of my father, his quiet strength, his belief in me, and a steely resolve settled in. I wouldn't let her win. I spent nights poring over company records, my apartment a mess of coffee mugs and legal documents. My father's shares came with voting rights, enough to influence major decisions if I played my cards right. But I needed allies. I reached out to Daniel, a board member I'd worked with on the AI project, a man known for his integrity. We met at a quiet bar across town, the dim lights masking my anxiety. Daniel, I began, my voice low. I need your help. Karen demoted me unfairly, and I have a stake in the company, 15%. His eyes widened, a mix of shock and admiration. Avery, that's significant. But Karen's got the CEO in her pocket. You'll need more than shares. You'll need proof she's a liability. My heart sank. Proof. I had none. only my word against hers. The pressure mounted as Karen tightened her grip. She assigned me grunt work, data entry, coffee runs, tasks designed to break my spirit. Each order came with a smirk, her voice dripping with condescension. "Don't mess this up, Avery," she'd say, her tone a dagger. Inside, I seethed, my anger a fire threatening to consume me. But I swallowed it, forcing a smile, knowing every humiliation was fuel for my revenge. My mind replayed the accident that started this nightmare, the screech of tires, the rain on my face, the call to Karen that sealed my fate. I blamed myself, then her, then the universe, a cycle of torment that left me sleepless. But beneath the chaos, a plan formed. I dug deeper, accessing old emails through a backdoor IT trick I'd learned years ago. My heart raced as I found a thread between Karen and a rival firm, emails hinting at a deal to sell Horizon's AI tech. A betrayal that could tank our stock. My hands shook as I saved the files, the weight of what I'd uncovered sinking in. This was my proof. But using it meant exposing myself as a shareholder, a move that could backfire if the board sided with Karen. Doubt gnawed at me. What if they saw me as a threat? What if I lost everything? But the memory of Karen's sneer, the sting of my demotion, pushed me forward. I had to act, and I had to act fast. Daniel agreed to arrange a private board meeting, but it came with a catch. I had 1 week to prepare, or Karen would push through her deal, rendering my shares powerless. The deadline loomed like a guillotine, each day a battle against my own fears. I barely ate, my mind consumed with strategy, my heart heavy with the stakes. I thought of quitting, of walking away to save my sanity, but the fire in me wouldn't let me. Karen had underestimated me, and that was her fatal mistake. As the board meeting approached, I clutched my evidence, my secret stock certificate, and a resolve forged in betrayal. The storm was coming, and I was ready to strike. The morning of the board meeting arrived like a thunderclap, the tension in my chest so tight I could barely breathe. I stood outside Horizon Dynamics boardroom, my suit crisp but my hands clammy, clutching a folder with my evidence, emails showing Karen's betrayal, my stock certificate, and a speech I'd rehearsed 100 times. Inside, I was a maelstrom of emotions, fear that I'd fail, rage at Karen's cruelty, and a fragile hope that I could reclaim my life. The past week had been a crucible, each day a battle against self-doubt and Karen's relentless torment. She doubled down, spreading rumors I was slacking, assigning me a last-minute task due hours before the meeting, a clear attempt to sabotage me. I barely slept, my mind racing with what-ifs. What if the board dismissed me? What if Karen twisted the narrative? But as I pushed open the door, I silenced those fears, channeling my anger into resolve. The boardroom was a battlefield. 10 executives, including Daniel, sat around a polished table, their faces a mix of curiosity and impatience. Karen was there, her smile venomous, seated beside the CEO, Mr. Hargrove, her ally. My stomach churned as I took my place, the weight of their gazes crushing. "Avery," Hargrove began, his tone skeptical, "you've requested this meeting. Make it quick." I nodded, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "I'm here to expose a betrayal and to reveal my stake in Horizon Dynamics. The room shifted, murmurs rippling as I slid my stock certificate across the table. I own 15% of this company, I said, my voice rising. And I'm using my voting rights to call for an investigation into Karen Ellis. Karen's face twisted, her composure cracking. This is absurd, she snapped, her voice shrill. Avery's a disgruntled employee. He was demoted for incompetence. Inside, her words stung, reopening the wound of my humiliation. I felt the heat of anger, the ache of betrayal, but I pushed through, slamming the emails onto the table. These prove Karen's been negotiating to sell our AI tech to a rival firm, I said, my voice ablaze. She's risking our future for personal gain. I was demoted for being 20 minutes late because of an accident, but she's the real liability. The board erupted, Hargrove's eyes narrowing as he scanned the emails. Karen lunged forward, her face red. He's lying. Those are fabricated. But Daniel intervened, his voice calm but firm. We'll verify them, Karen. If they're real, you're done. The room buzzed with tension, my heart pounding as I watched the board's reactions. Inside, I was a mess. Fear of failure clawed at me, memories of Karen's sneer fueling my rage, and a desperate hope anchoring me. Hargrove ordered an immediate audit, suspending Karen pending investigation. She turned to me, her eyes blazing with hatred. You'll regret this, she hissed, her voice a venomous whisper. The threat sent a chill down my spine, but I met her gaze unflinching. I already regret trusting you, I shot back, my voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside. That night, the audit confirmed the emails. Karen had been planning to sell Horizon's tech, a move that would have crashed our stock. The board convened an emergency meeting and I was there. My nerves frayed, but my resolve ironclad. Hargrove addressed the room, his voice grim. Karen Ellis is terminated, effective immediately. Avery, your shares and evidence have saved this company. The words hit me like a wave, relief flooding through me, but also a bitter satisfaction. I'd won, but the cost was heavy, years of trust shattered, my career nearly destroyed. As Karen was escorted out, her glare burned into me, a silent promise of revenge. Inside, I felt a mix of triumph and unease, knowing this wasn't the end. But for now, I'd reclaimed my power. And Horizon Dynamics would never be the same. The aftermath of Karen's termination was a whirlwind that reshaped my world at Horizon Dynamics. Standing in the boardroom after her exit, I felt a flood of emotions, relief washing over me like a warm tide, pride swelling in my chest, and a lingering unease that Karen's parting glare had planted. The board's decision wasn't just a victory, it was a rebirth. Hargrove turned to me, his expression a mix of respect and apology. Avery, we misjudged you, he said, his voice softer than I'd ever heard. We're reinstating you as project manager with a promotion to senior director. And we'd like you to join the board. Your stake gives you a voice we can't ignore. My heart soared, but inside, I wrestled with the weight of it all. I'd fought so hard, endured so much. Was I ready for this new responsibility? The transition was swift. I moved back to my old office, now upgraded with a view of Seattle's skyline, a tangible symbol of my rise. My team welcomed me back with cheers, their loyalty a balm to the wounds Karen had inflicted. But as I settled into my role, I couldn't shake the psychological scars. Nightmares plagued me. Karen's sneer, the sound of rain on the freeway, the suffocating fear of failure. I'd wake in a cold sweat, my mind replaying the demotion, the humiliation. Therapy helped, a quiet space to unpack the trauma, but the anger lingered. A quiet ember I couldn't extinguish. Karen had nearly broken me, and though I'd won, the battle had left its mark. Karen's downfall was complete. The audit uncovered more kickbacks, falsified reports, a web of corruption that led to her indictment for fraud. She lost everything, her career, her reputation, even her freedom as she awaited trial. I watched the news. Her mugshot a stark contrast to the polished tyrant I'd known, and felt a cold satisfaction. Inside, I grappled with my emotions. Part of me wanted to gloat, to revel in her ruin. But another part, a quieter, wiser part, knew revenge wasn't healing. I'd fought for justice, not vengeance, and that distinction became my anchor. With my new role, I transformed Horizon Dynamics. I used my board seat to push for transparency, implementing policies to protect employees from the kind of abuse I'd endured. The AI project I'd spearheaded launched successfully, earning $15 million in its first quarter, cementing my legacy. My shares, once a secret weapon, became a tool for good. I donated a portion to a fund for employee development, ensuring no one else would be crushed by politics. My team thrived, their trust in me a daily reminder of why I'd fought. One evening, as I stood on my office balcony, the city lights glittering below, I received a letter. Karen's handwriting, postmarked from jail. "You think you've won, but I'll be back," it read. My stomach twisted, the old fear resurfacing. But I tore it up, letting the pieces scatter in the wind. She couldn't touch me anymore. I'd rebuilt my life, stronger than ever, and Horizon Dynamics was mine to lead. The demotion that had nearly destroyed me had forged me into a leader, a survivor, a force. My father's shares had saved me, but my courage had won the war. And as I looked out at the skyline, I knew I was unstoppable. Thank you for following the story. If you like emotional and dramatic stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to read more interesting stories.